M-H-A-P-P-Y. M-H-A-P-P-Y. I know I am, I'm sure I am. M-H-A-P-P-Y.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Hard Sell, where the stick rattles back. As you can see, your usual presenter's human frailties have once again got the better of him, so he has reactivated me. Presenter Bot 3000, to host this episode. By massive coincidence, it is about medicines. What a stroke of fortune. You humans honestly get sick at the slightest provocation. The sooner we replace you, the better. Oh, we get our computer viruses, and that's just ones who run on Windows. I run on a proprietary version of Linux, whose updates are named after obscure jazz musicians of the 30s. Version 2.8, Ben Whitted. This show looked at medicines once before, of course, but there is much more out there than the human presenter touched on in that episode. Let's take a look.
Colds and flu. Take Disprin. Disprin dissolves.
The early days of advertising, when there was little or no artistry involved. Even with stop-motion miniature ice-scapes, or hollows and bachelor animated soldiers singing close harmony jingles, the final effect was as direct as a cudgel to the solar plexus.
Ordinary aspirin leaves acid particles in the stomach, but Disprin dissolves.
And then there were ones like this, which were even simpler. Locate your product's unique rate and simply repeat it over and over again. Disprin dissolves.
Ordinary aspirin leaves acid particles in the stomach, but Disprin dissolves.
The wobbly special effect was as creative as it got. Disprin dissolves.
You drink it, and this means it's safer to take than ordinary aspirin because there are no acid particles from Disprin to lodge in the stomach and cause stomach upset.
This was the brief period when a balding middle-aged man could be an aspirational figure. Disprin dissolves.
That's why soluble aspirin like Disprin is the remedy preferred by medical people. Disprin dissolves.
And with a simple product shot and an explicit command from the nasal BBC English announcer to buy the stuff.
For relief from colds and flu without stomach upset, take Disprin.
We didn't know any better in those days, but then again, was there any particular need to?
You can stop the throb of headache quickly and safely with Disprin.
Ooh, they've superimposed a steam hammer for this bit. Flashy. Apart from that though, it's the same basic thing. An authoritative, received pronunciation voiceover flatly describes the product in question.
See how Disprin dissolves in water. It gets into the bloodstream faster than any solid undissolved pain reliever and is far less likely to upset your stomach. Take Disprin for a headache, or a cold, or rheumatism, and feel quick, safe relief, because Disprin dissolves pain quickly and safely.
No metaphors, precious little imagery, only the tiniest suggestion of a pun at the end. Just the facts. Or the facts according to the manufacturers of Disprin, anyway. Some of these very earliest TV adverts feel almost as if it hasn't occurred to the advertisers yet that they don't just have to explain why their product is so great, they also have to prove that they're preferable to whatever else is on the market. Disprin's unique selling point, that it's aspirin but you drink it, kept them from falling into that trap.
Disprin dissolves pain quickly and safely.
Last time this program covered medicines, your frail human host noted how advertising for these things in particular tended to throw the social divisions of the time into sharp relief. Or, put another way, they were open to being sexist as all hell. Take a look at this Headaches advert, depicting a day in the life of a housewife, as dictated, or perhaps assumed, by the patriarchy.
Sorry, pull up.
After a day like this, when you've got a headache and everything seems to work against you, you want fast, powerful relief from something that understands your headache. Something made for headache pain. Something that won't upset your stomach.
We want football!
You want Headaches.
Men don't get headaches, you see. The power holders don't get to admit weakness, whereas weakness is almost what defines the housewife, or more accurately the housewife's role. But then this is the 70s, and more importantly this is advertising, where you are your role. And if you're a woman who's already achieved the husband and kids part of your mandated life progression, your role is to stay at home, to nurture and gather, while the man is out hunting and providing. If the housewife were stronger, then she would be the hunter, and the societal order would be thrown into chaos. Cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria.
As the name tells you, Headaches is made to give you fast, powerful relief from your headache.
Darling, had a good day?
Alright, so I'm exaggerating for comic effect. But still you can't tell me this scene didn't end with her plunging a skewer into his throat.
From your headache.
Darling, had a good day?
Headaches understands your headache.
Or take a look at this one.
I was a real bear with a sore head when I had a headache. I get quite snappy with the kids.
Her headache actively prevents her from fulfilling her mandated role in society. She can't nurture her offspring if her head's pounding so much that the sound of a biro falling onto scotch-guarded carpet hits her like a cinder block to the brain. Her body is failing her, and in turn she's failing her sacred role of housewife and mother. If she doesn't do something, the consequences could be disastrous. The kids will go feral. Her husband will have to prepare meals for himself. The fundamental fabric of society itself will collapse. Thank God, then, for Disprin, now advertising themselves exclusively by metaphor.
But now, thanks to Disprin, my headache is soon under control.
Soon she's back to her proper place in the human race, in more ways than one, and all is right with the world.
Disprin is gentle, and it dissolves before you take it. In fact, Disprin gently dissolves away the pain. Next time you're a bear with a sore head, take Disprin.
Of course, by now, we could admit that manly men were capable of getting ill as well, although it was still unthinkable that they could be stopped by something as measly as a mere headache.
My George is a real bore when he's getting a cold.
It had to be a full-blown cold, at the minimum. This is probably where man flu comes from. The patriarchal idea that men are inherently strong and women are inherently weak. Men run the world while women run the home, and the weaker sex are more susceptible to illness, and the world can afford for them to be. In reality, of course, viruses, bacteria and basic human fragility don't give a flying fuck what gender you are, or identify as being, as long as you have the correct internal organs for them to munch on. You human dipshits have spent millennia in denial that you're all the same damn thing, fundamentally. And that thing is meat. You're all slabs of meat with very slight variations. Fucking deal with it. But good luck getting anyone to admit that, now or in 1981.
The way he carries on, you'd think he was on his last legs. But Disprin soon reduces his temperature and helps ease the aches and pains. Disprin is gentle, and it dissolves before you take it.
At least if this advert were made now, it might actually be aimed at the man. He's the one shown to be ill, and therefore in need of the product. But no, the target of the advert is still his wife. After all, it's not his job to nurse himself back to health. She's the nurturer, and that makes her the keeper of the medicine cabinet. By rights she should be mixing up the Disprin before he's finished sneezing. Run to the cabinet at the first hour, and present him with a sparkling glass of stank water right at the end of the tube.
In fact, Disprin helps gently dissolve away cold symptoms.
But what if she gets ill first, which by rights she really should, if you think about it, being as she is a weaker and more infectable woman. She has to work through it, I guess, or the whole system breaks down. Sexism. It's not even efficient.
Next time your old man's being a bit of a bore, give him Disprin.
That's enough socio-political analysis. Fuck art, let's dance.
It's perfectly natural to have a tickly cough. Well, here is a naturally tasty way to tackle it.
I think they may have gone a little over the top with this, actually. It doesn't look like a cough syrup advert anymore. It looks like confectionery, or even a soft drink. Something you imbibe for pleasure, not as a curative.
Liquid fruiter, full of fruiter. Liquid fruiter, full of fruiter. Liquid fruiter, full of fruiter. Gives you coughs and your tickles up a lamb, bam, boom.
I totally understand the idea behind it. It's intended for children as well as adults, and we're clearly aiming at the former here. Selling medicine to kids is bloody difficult, as anyone who has a child, or was one, or has ever seen one, can tell you. So making it seem fun and exciting seems like the obvious route. But they may have made it a little too fun and exciting. It's not Pepsi, it's cough syrup.
Liquid fruiter, full of fruiter. Gives you coughs and your tickles up a lamb, bam, boom.
Liquid fruit is still available now, incidentally, but only over the counter. It's a relatively heavy-duty cough mixture, which probably doesn't taste 1/1000th as nice as this advert wants you to think.
Liquid fruiter, full of fruiter. Gives you coughs and your tickles up a lamb, bam, boom. Liquid fruiter, full of fruiter. Gives you coughs and your tickles up a lamb, bam, boom.
There is a strange sort of half-world between confectionery and medicine, however, where the likes of Halls, and Tunes, and Lockets live. Menthol-infused eucalyptus-flavored boiled sweets designed to clear your air passages. These things are even made by confectioners. Lockets are owned by Mars. Tunes by Wrigley, i.e. also Mars. As for Halls, after a few decades worth of corporate pass the parcel, they ended up with Cadbury's, under Kraft spin-off Mondelez. Fascinating stuff, I'm sure you'll agree. The point is, these are either medicines made by sweet makers, or sweets with medical pretensions. Tunes, which are mostly useful for clearing the face tubes, have tended to concentrate on the hilarity of bunged-up noses in their advertising.
Bush,
When your nose is bunged up,
bush.
you need tunes.
Ah, dudes.
Get it? The excess of mucus in the throat, nasal passages and sinuses distorts the voice. I can only assume you humans find this amusing.
Tunes release cool menthol vapors that help you breathe more easily.
Tunes. Mush.
Tunes help you breathe more easily.
The big selling point of Lockets was the gooey bit in the middle which supposedly soothed a sore throat. Their advertising rated heavily on the product resulting dual personality.
When we get a cold, we most likely get a bunged-up nose or a sore throat. But all too often we get both together. Double trouble. And that's precisely why Lockets have a double action.
On the outside, menthol to help clear your nose and let you breathe more easily. Inside, a liquid center to soothe your throat.
Making you feel altogether human again.
You were better off before, mate.
So for double trouble, double-action Lockets help clear your nose and soothe your throat.
Finally, there are assholes, who had the same twist as Lockets. They decided to go for surreal horror.
While they're pretending not to notice that your nose is feeling beastly, along comes a beastly sore throat.
Not having a nose or a throat, I am not sure, but from what I gather, these are not normal symptoms of the common cold. Ned Sharon seems unfazed, but then he always did.
This is when Hall's Mentholyptus can transform you.
And while I will grant the inconvenience of the giraffe neck, at least at this particular moment, but the prehensile trunk has to be an improvement. Look, he is actually using it to his advantage. That is not a symptom, that is a superpower. Why would you take something to get rid of it?
As Hall's soothing eucalyptus melts away the discomfort from your throat, it releases penetrating menthol vapor action to ease your breathing.
Is it because of the neck? You can get used to the neck.
Rejoin the human race with your favorite Hall's Mentholyptus.
Honestly, I will never understand why you humans are so content with your terrible bodies. Those things are riddled with design flaws. Ears, for instance. You can't tell me that's the most efficient auditory system you could come up with. Male genitals. Not only do they look ridiculous, why in the fuck are the testes protected by nothing but a thin layer of skin, and suspended in the air? There are better ways around the overheating problem. Haven't you idiots heard of coolant fluid? And don't even get me started on the anus. Christ. You fucking people. Someone unplug me and wipe my memory banks. And the next time you switch me on, better be for something cool, like computers again or something.
Daisy, give me your answer.
M-H-A-P-P-Y, M-H-A-P-P-Y. I know I am, I'm sure I am, M-H-A-P-P-Y.
You gotta take it if you want shit medicine. You gotta take it if you want shit medicine. You gotta take it if you want shit medicine. You gotta take it.